Hello, welcome to Geeking Out with Shad. Yesterday I went out and took some photos and did some videos with my Pixel 7 Pro. So I wanted to show you some of that footage. Let's start with the photos and then we'll get into the videos that I did. I did the videos while I was out mountain biking, so I did some slow motion and some regular speed, so we'll check those out. And then I took some pretty cool picture at the lake, which I'll show you here. And I was pretty impressed because it was the sunrise. I got the lake, I got the ducks, and then the moon, and you can actually see the side of the moon that isn't lit by the sun. I want to avoid using terms like dark side of the moon. Um, if you know anything about the moon is always facing the same way towards Earth. So here's the Earth, and the moon rotates like this around the Earth. It doesn't stay stationary like this, and it doesn't spin as it's going around the Earth. The same face is always facing the Earth. Why? I have no idea. But so anyway, the moon, there's like was a small slice of it visible, but then you could actually see the other side that the sun wasn't shining on, and the phone picked that up. And then, even better yet, you look down in the water, the water is rippling. You can see the moon reflection in the water, which I thought was really cool. So, pretty awesome photo for a phone. I mean, you can do like way better photos than with a DSLR. Trust me on that. Phones are pretty darn good, but they're not as good as a real camera with actual really good lenses and stuff on it. So then I went on my mountain bike ride, and then there's a place where you can kind of oversee downtown Minneapolis. So I took a few pictures there, and what I wanted to check was okay, just taking a picture at 1x and then taking it at, I believe I did a 5x here, and then I did a full, like, kind of zoom in to the city. I didn't go all the way to 30. I just did what made like kind of the perfect window through the trees here. And I feel like it did pretty good. You can see the fall leaves and the fall colors, and these photos are unadjusted. Um, so it's just raw, and of course on the phone I can go and do some adjustments to these photos to make the colors pop a little more, things like that. So pretty awesome. um, so that's just kind of a very vague, like, quick overview of some of the photo capabilities of the phone. I'm pretty impressed with the digital zoom because it's still relatively clear. I mean, the cameras are 48 pixel, um, which is a lot. I have a DSLR that's in the 25 megapixel thing, and I think I forgot to say megapixel. 48 megapixel. I have a DSLR that's 25 megapixel, and that's really good. So this is more than double that, or almost double that, I should say, not more than double. And then the digital zoom, really what you're losing is megapixels as you do that. So it's really up to the sensors and the focus capabilities and things to make the photo crisp as you zoom in. And then you finally get to the point where things start to get pixelated because now you're losing your pixel density. So that's kind of how that works. So when things have digital zoom works better on devices that have a high megapixel count, because and there's a lot of other factors. They got to be able to focus really finite things. So when you're zooming in, it's got to be able to focus on that thing you're zooming into. And there's a lot of other factors involved, but that pixel count is a big factor on how digital zoom works and the clarity you can possibly get. So, all right, let's move on to video, and I'll show you some of the videos that I did. Okay, so here is a video of me just riding regular speed over uh, you call them boardwalks, or skinny sometimes. This one isn't super skinny. Um, but yeah, it's got a couple of rolls in it. It's kind of cool. It's just a neat little feature. In this case, it's called a qualifier because there's some challenging stuff up ahead. So if a rider isn't comfortable riding this thing, they shouldn't continue down that trail. Take the easier trail to the left. But that's kind of a mountain bike thing. If you're a mountain biker, hopefully you know what a qualifier is, or you realize that the trail is going to be a bit more challenging when you run into features like this. So, yep, normal speed. I just did this at the regular speed with the camera. Um, I don't know how many frames per second that is, maybe 30. So, and so I can't adjust this one to be slow motion because if I did, it would get really choppy. So the phone has quarter speed and eighth speed, uh, and I'm realizing going eighth speed is a bit too much. So I did all eighth speed, thinking, oh, it'll be cool to see that really slow thing. So then in editing, when I did this video for my other channel, I edited it so it wasn't quite this slow. It wasn't eighth speed, it was more quarter speed, but I can do that with Adobe Premiere Pro and adjust the speeds. Here's a slow motion video of me going over this wooden, another kind of boardwalky thing, but there was a tree that went down, and the trail crew decided to build this cool wooden feature over it. And again, there is a ride around, so it's not a required feature, but I like to catch a little air off of it and stuff rather than just roll over it. So here's a slow motion video of me going over it in eighth speed, and this was with my phone, so keep in mind, like, this is pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with how this turned out as I go over, and you can really see what's going on, and if you're somebody like me, you can actually kind of critique, do this. I actually do that. I do slow motion footage of myself riding and critique what I'm doing so I can make subtle improvements. A really good tool to have if you're into learning bicycle skills. This next one is a thing where I go, there's on the right, there's like a log, and then on the left there's a stump. And what I like to do is I like to do what I call like a jib or a front wheel jab over the stump. So I come up to it, I lift my front wheel, and you can see it right here in the video, slow motion, again, 8th speed, and I jab my front wheel onto the top of the stump. But you'll see that as I do that, I pop and I go all the way over and clear my back tire, so my back wheel doesn't ever touch the log. If you know about biking, there's a thing called a bunny hop. Bunny hop is when you just completely lift the entire bike and you just pop off the ground and clear something. That takes a lot of energy to do that. And so generally what I try to do is I try to do these kind of moves as an energy conservation thing. So I use that stump to push my front wheel down and kind of almost like bounce the bike over, but I have to control it. It's not, the bike isn't bouncing by itself. I'm in control of what the bike is doing. Just don't want people to get ideas that these things just happen automatically. Gravity will wreck you if you try to do this stuff without knowing what you're doing. So here's the 1/8 speed of me going off a drop. So there's a part of the trail where on the left you can just roll down, and on the right there's like a little rock that sticks up, and then it drops down and has like a little hole, or whatever you want to call it, gap we call it in the biking world, and then you hit that and there's a landing down a little ways, and I hit it, and I like to get a little style. I kicked over to the side and hit, and you can see in 8th speed as I come up and hit that thing and then come out and kick to the side, and then you see that my back tire actually lands kind of up to the right. Kind of cool. What's really interesting about this one is watch the compression when I land. This is one of those things I talk about a lot on my other channel in mountain biking in general. So you use your body as suspension, and I compress the landing and come really low on the bike, and it's pretty cool in this video because you can really see that compression as I land, which makes the 8th speed kind of fun. So that's pretty good quality, I think, from a phone, if you ask me. So this last one is again 8th speed, and then it's basically just me jumping a little tabletop, and the tabletop's not super big, but I've got 2 jumps here that I'm going to show, and the first one was more of a speed jump, and you know, I didn't try to go high or get too much style. And then the second one, I was trying to get a little more, you know, what we call steezy in the air. But you can kind of put them side by side as you're watching them here. So first one is just my first kind of more just getting over it, and then the second one I was trying to get a little more stylish. It was kind of funny because on the second one I come pretty close to the camera because I had the camera really close to the edge of the trail, and it's kind of cool. I mean, you can see my facial expression and everything. So super cool. I mean, it definitely makes the phone fun. Could I do this with my GoPro? Yes, but what you'll notice in the video is I'm wearing my GoPro. What's kind of handy about having my phone with me is I do GoPro footage as I'm riding, and as I'm doing that, you know, when I want to film something, I'm by myself, I don't have somebody with me to film for me, I stop and I set up the tripod with my phone, and I don't have to unstrap my GoPro and remove it from the mount and then put it on the tripod, which is what I do sometimes. But when I have my phone with me, it makes it super convenient that I can just grab my phone, throw it on the tripod, set it up, and then the other cool thing is I can film with my GoPro and film with my phone at the same time. And sometimes what I'll do in my videos is I'll show the POV footage of me going over something, and then immediately right after show the other angle and stuff like that. So it is nice to have this with me as that extra tool, and that's why I got the Pixel 7 Pro, is for the camera and the capabilities of the camera. So I know Samsung makes some really nice phones that have good cameras. Apple obviously does, but the Google Pixel phones are right there. They're all neck and neck, and they kind of swap back and forth. But you know, I like the system. I use Google Fi, and so I kind of stick with the Pixel, and don't really try other phones. Maybe as my channel grows, and if I ever start monetizing this channel and I start making some money, then I would actually go and buy stuff. And that's what these other channels do, is they make enough money from their channel that they can go and buy a lot of different devices and test them. For my channel, I pretty much have to only review what I pay for and use on my own in my real world. Very few exceptions, I will actually buy something so I can review it on my channel. But my bike channel, on the other hand, I do a little bit more. I do get some money off of that one where I can put that money back into the channel. And so, you know, that's kind of how YouTube works, right? Unless you just have tons of money that you can just buy stuff, or you get enough subscribers to where companies will send you stuff. Like, I'm sure that Marcus Brownlee guy, he gets stuff sent to them all the time. Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't pay for any of it, you know. So, pretty cool. I appreciate your support from my channel. If you like this content, please subscribe and like the video. Peace.